Yeah, 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 yeah. Saw him ad on
Hey
TV.
guys, welcome to Chameleon Cuts, the only platform where professionals come together and tell us how they chameleon their way to success in their personal and professional lives daily. I'm Nadi, aka Queen Chameleon, and our next guest is an illustrious chameleon. She's a triple threat singer, songwriter, actress, and more. Please welcome Nadi Lee. What's up, girl?
Thank you.
Hey, yes, so glad to have you today. So, some topics we're going to get into is how to get an agent, materials to have ready to create success, also slating and how to stand out in your audition, and then business budgets and managing your money as an artist. So, welcome, Nadi. What's up, girl?
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. So you've been super, super, super busy, and that's awesome. Congrats on all of the bookings that you've been having going on. And I noticed on your IMDb, you've got a lot of products in pre-production, and you're working on lots of stuff. So that's awesome. Huge congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you could tell our audience and all of the young up and coming performers, what was the process like getting an agent? And I know that it can be by referral sometimes also, and you had kind of a unique experience with that we talked about last time. So in general, what is it like getting an agent, and what are some telltale signs to look for and to watch out for? And how
Yeah.
did it work out for you?
Okay. So specifically, I want to stress it's agent for acting just because I don't have an agent for music, but I do have an agent for acting. In the acting world, just to kind of give people some hindsight, there is a commercial agent and a theatrical agent, and some agencies prefer to work with you in just one department. Some want to work with you in both. So it just kind of everyone's experience is a little different depending on which agency you are in talks with. So in my personal case, now again, everyone's a little different. For me personally, when I first started acting, a little over a year and a half ago, so it really hasn't even been that long. I started off on a website called Backstage. You can't really just get an agent with no experience whatsoever. So you do have to work your way up by self-submitting for smaller commercial or smaller acting. And some of them might be non-paying. You might be doing student films, whatever it is, just to build up your resume. No one's going to look at you when you don't have anything done under, commercials or film or whatever it is. So it's really important that you get yourself on some type of casting website to build up your credits first. So that's what I did. I recommend the website Backstage. And I started off there. And then about 3 months later of just getting consistent work on my own, I got pretty lucky and an agency reached out to me. So an agency reached out to me and said they were interested in representing me, and they wanted to set up a meeting and wanted me to send them all my headshots and my resume and everything. So that's what I did. And at that time, I didn't even have like a video reel at all. So they were willing to bring me on board off of just my credits, very few credits of 3 months worth, basically. And the fact that I've been booking pretty regularly on my own. So that alone, I guess, gave them,
The impression that it's a
yes,
credibility for yourself. Yeah, they see, okay,
exactly,
she's obviously already a go-getter on her own. So as an
exactly.
agent, it's almost like, eye candy for them. It's like, oh, I would love to represent somebody that's already
Right,
understands the work ethic.
right. And agents are, especially a lot of the smaller boutique agents, because there's a lot of them. Some of them are very proactive, and they will go on websites like Backstage and actually look for talent who are unrepresented, because they know Backstage is a casting website where it's for people who are starting off in the industry. So they're always looking for new talent, the new next big namer that might make it one day. So they will see your credit. So one thing that's really important is every time you book something, you need to update your credits on Backstage as well, so that people can see that if there are agents out there that are looking you up, they can see that you're consistently booking and they'd be interested in talking to you. And So that's really how it started for me personally. So I always tell people, start off with the casting website. Yes, you do have to pay for it, but really, you just really need to book one or two things and it'll pay for itself for the rest of the year. So yeah, that's what that is. So that's really how you get
Awesome.
started. And then from there, the agents will get you started and you kickstart your career and they submit you for bigger and better stuff. And then you continue to work your way up. And then eventually, currently I'm no longer with that agency. I'm now with a different agency, but you know, people kind of shift around and move around a bit. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So can you, because I have to ask this question, so can you also tell us on the flip side, what are some kind of red flags that people should look out for who are like not really sure how to vet out an agency or find out if they're reputable, or, you know, what are some things that would be reasons why you would not go with an agency, if any?
Okay. The biggest red flag is if they say that you need to pay. That's a scam. You should never have to pay for an agent. There is absolutely nothing, because an agent basically works for free, basically, submitting you and all this, and in hopes that one day you'll book something and they'll get a commission off of that booking. So if someone comes to you and says, I want to represent you, but you're going to have to pay me this much upfront, it's a scam. Run away, ignore them.
How
Don't do
about
it.
the other common one, Nadi, where some agents will say, "Oh, you need to get new photos, so you're gonna have to pay. You can pay me $250, or I've heard as high as $800, and our photographer will take pictures for you." What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's also a scam. A legitimate agency will never, ever tell you where to go to take your photos. They will always say you need to update your photos, but they'll never tell you where. There's so many professional
Awesome.
photographers everywhere. You're in control. You as an actress, you are an independent contractor. So you are working for yourself. No one should ever tell you which, I mean, they might make recommendations because they know that this photographer had very good success with headshots or whatever, right? They might make recommendations, but like, that's about it. Like,
Right. Okay, awesome. I
and
love it.
as actors, most likely you have a better chance of finding the right photographer for your headshots through like your other actor friends, and
Right.
more so than your agent.
Amazing. So, Nadi, I love that you brought up self-contracting and all of that, because I know that we had talked about business budgeting and managing your money as an artist, and I know that that's really important to you. And can you talk about, you know, when you're getting paid for these jobs? You know, I'm assuming that now at this point, since you have your own DBA and you're self-contracting, that you're getting issued payments through that. Can you tell everybody how you set up your, or whatever the process is, how you set up your DBA and how you manage and budget and save your money?
Yeah. So first of all, to set up your DBA, well, in my case specifically, because I have a stage name, but really it's not, because it's just spelled differently than my legal name. It's just so that people can actually pronounce it correctly. So Nadi, right? So you can pronounce Nadi instead of Nari, which is the same problem you have.
Yep, Mari.
Yeah. And so I didn't, like, if I ever make it in the industry, and I don't want people to be calling me Nari. That's a mispronunciation of my name. So I want to make sure that everyone is going to call me Nadi. So I did have to change my name to reflect the correct pronunciation, so that when I am in the industry and I book things, they easily are able to say my name correctly. And so that also meant when they issue payment, they tend to issue payment under the misspelling of my name, right? The phonetic spelling of my name. So obviously I can't cash checks when they're not my legal name. So I did have to submit, basically you just Google it on, it's pretty easy. You just Google it on the internet and you look for a, DBA, how to file a DBA in LA County. So that's what you do. There's all these simple instructions. You can print out a form, you fill out the form, and then you include a $25 check and you mail it to the LA County office. And they get back to you within like a month. So they'll write you back. And then once it's approved, all that stuff. And then, you can go and create a separate checking account under your business name, in my case, Nadi Lee. So that way, when they continue to issue checks to my name, I don't have a problem with that. But also a lot of agents want the payment to go to them directly. And then they will take a portion, obviously, like whatever your contract is with your agent, whether it's 20%, 10%, they'll cut out their check and then send you the rest. And when your agent does that, they obviously know you have a legal name, and they will actually send you your check under your legal name, or they can direct deposit it. It just really depends on the agencies. So depending on who your agent is, you may not even have to sign up or file for a DBA, because if your agent's willing to handle all of your finances upfront for you, then you don't really need a DBA. Yeah, but I would still recommend having a separate checking account, specifically regards to your entertainment stuff, because that way you can easily check out your cash in, cash out, because any of your business expenses that you are making, like all of the stuff you're paying for the casting websites, that is a business expense, and you can, it'll help with your taxes and all that. So you can write them all off.
How about the gas to getting to auditions, the makeup, the wardrobe, just anything
all of that
came into parking,
all of that
expenses.
Yeah, and even like going and get skincare treatments, because you as an actress or model, your face is so important on camera, right? Like that's what's booking you, is your face. So you want to have really good skin. So even stuff like that, you can even write that off as a business expense as well.
Very cool. All good stuff for our young up and coming performers to know. So Nadi, let's talk about slating and how important it is when you walk into an audition room and presenting yourself, and what you think the recipe is to booking that audition from your experience.
Okay, so my experience was mostly through COVID, right? Because I started literally a couple months before COVID hit. So most of my audition experience is all through self-tapes or Zoom auditions.
Right, self-taping is super important.
Right, which they actually say is the future of acting now, because it's going to save production companies so much more money to just do Zoom callback auditions and stuff like that. Just last week was my first callback in person since COVID. So even then, that just shows that there's a lot of auditions out there where they're still not doing in-person callbacks just yet. Because they have to rent a space out. Right. And that's money for them, to do callback auditions and all that. So if a lot of these companies can save money by just doing a Zoom audition, which is like free, or I'm sure there's still a small fee, because I think they got to do like anything over 45 minutes you have to pay, right?
Yeah, if it's more than 2 people.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, but basically, so I can tell you from like a self-tape perspective.
Yeah.
I actually took a self-tape course, which changed the game. If you looked at some of my old self-tape audition videos, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed by that. I'm like, what was I thinking? But now, like, once I hired a self-tape coach, well, he's actually an acting coach, but he was doing like the self-tape series. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump on this. So it's like a 4-week course. And I did it, and I've learned so much. And he's actually a real life casting director, which is why he's able to really look from a casting director perspective and show you all of the things, all the mistakes. And he'll go over all of your self-tapes individually and point out what you're doing wrong, how you can make it better.
Amazing.
So let's just say I learned, like, this is the framing, right? Make sure that the frame, like, you have this much headspace. Like right now, I would be considered perfect framing.
Okay.
Now, sometimes they're very specific and they want you even closer, like up here.
Okay.
Lighting is super important. You always want really good lighting. So I got these soft box lightings and a ring light. So I have a 3-point lighting system. And so when you are doing self-tape auditions, you want to be lit up from all different angles, because that's very important, because casting directors want to see how you are on camera, right? Because that's why they're hiring you. So they want to see how you look on camera, but how you look on camera is truly reflected based on really good lighting. If you have really bad lighting, you're not really showing how good you look on camera. Because even when you are booking something for real, like, they're going to have really good lights.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. So I just buy everything on Amazon. It's just super simple. And it comes to you, and it's
Awesome.
really not that expensive. Think of it as an expense, a business expense, right?
Right.
And then I also have a screen in the back where casting directors say that they like to see blue or gray background.
Okay.
Yeah. So like purchasing, like I also bought like a thing where I don't know what you call it. It's like a pole, and you
Yeah,
can
it's like a
hang
tress almost. Yeah, a
like
tress.
tapestry against it. But
Sure,
I know
yep.
some people who just buy like a tablecloth, like a color,
Yeah,
or like a bed sheet that's
yep.
gray
It
or
works
blue,
too.
and they'll just like tape it across the wall. So that works too. Like they're not going to know because the way that you frame yourself, like they're not going to see the ends of the thing. So there are
Right.
ways that you can go about it. That's money
On the
saving and
cheap.
just get away with it.
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. All right,
Oh yeah. And then
awesome.
you said slating.
Yes.
Slating. So what I learned with my acting coach is you always smile with your eyes. And even like you never want to look like a bitch. He wants, like, when directors look at your self tape, they want to see that you're easy to work with. They don't like working with drama queens. Even if the rest of the tape you play a bitchy character, they don't want you to be a bitch in real life, you know?
Right.
Because if
Right.
you are a difficult actress to work with, that's that brings behind a lot of issues or like with production and stuff like that.
Of
So
course.
yeah, so always slate when you say, hi, my name is Nadi Lee, and and whatever else they want you to say, maybe your height, who your agent is. But my casting or my acting coach always says, if they didn't ask for this information, don't say it. So meaning if they didn't ask for your height, don't mention it. Just slate,
Okay.
hi, my name is Nadi Lee. That's it.
Okay.
And then do a little smile. And that shows that you are personable. Don't ever end your slate with not smiling. Like, hi, my name is Nadi Lee.
Yeah,
like
that's
no.
very strong, right?
Right. And then like some casting directors prefer that you smile with your teeth, and some prefer that you smile with your mouth closed or just like a slight smile. I think that's just preference. Sometimes I give them a little bit of both. I'll smile like this a little bit, like for like half a second,
Sure.
and then I'll go into a bigger smile so they kind of see both.
Very interesting. Okay, cool. And then do you find that typically you're asked to specify, I am auditioning for the role of such and such? Or do you just kind of go into it, or will they say?
Yeah, so only if they specify.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll say, please, in your slate, please mention who you are auditioning for.
Okay.
Yeah, but most of the time you don't need to, because when you submit your audition tape, it already has a label on it.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, let's talk about the labeling of the audition tape. I know that's also important. Like in the music industry, that's important too. When you're delivering files to a producer, whatever, how you label your stuff is really important. So I've seen very specific instructions on castings also, like how to label your submission. So can you give an example of
Yes.
what you've seen, for example?
Yeah, so most of the, I mean, a lot of them will tell you specifically how they want you to label it. So they'll want you to start with your name, underscore, and then maybe the role name.
Right.
Sometimes they'll take it to the next level and say your name, underscore, the project name, underscore, and role name. So, and then sometimes they don't give you any instructions at all in regards to how they want you to label it. So you just kind of do whatever. And in my case, I will still always label it with my name, underscore, and the role name, just in case, because what do you got to lose, right?
Right.
It's better than nothing at all. So I like to do that. And yeah, and a lot of times, like sometimes you're submitting the audition through a casting website directly. So the name of the video might not even matter because they're actually streaming it from that casting website.
Oh, very cool.
So it just really depends. The instructions are so different. Sometimes they tell you to send it to them through WeTransfer, or send them a Dropbox link, or send them a separate email or YouTube link. It's literally like, this is why you have to read every single instructions for every audition you get, because they're all so different in how they want you to submit it.
Definitely. All right, awesome. That's great information. So can you tell us now, what were the things that you had done before that now looking back, you kind of cringe watching because you're like, oh my God, I just wish my lighting was better. Like what were some of the things that we can make sure that our young watchers don't do the same mistakes they made. I've made them too, by the way. So.
Yeah. Well, definitely the self-tape. I made a lot of self-tape mistakes where like the framing was like, I was like this is my framing. I had
Right,
so much
right.
space over here.
Right.
You know, not really knowing how to center yourself. It was like off center, that kind of stuff. And yeah, the lighting was so bad. I didn't know you needed important lighting, so I'll just use like the lamp that's in my bedroom, and not realizing how having right lighting can really make you look so much better on camera. I know some people just like to use natural lighting from their window, but to me that limits when I do my auditions, because I get so many auditions in a given day. Like for example, like today I got to send in 4. So when you get so many auditions like that, you only have so much daylight time to work with.
Right.
So at least when you have lights, it works, you know, you use it whenever. So yeah.
Awesome. I love that. That's amazing. Great. So have you found, okay, now talking about before you got an agent and you were kind of just like submitting to things, were you at that point like objectively submitting? Have you kind of typecasted yourself? What was the process of that? Because I know a lot of people aren't really aware of like, let me market myself to roles that are right for me. And this is something that is like everybody talked about in this industry. It's like everybody knows that, yeah, you're supposed to market yourself to roles that are a good fit for you. I know in the beginning, a big common mistake for people who are new is just like submitting to all types of roles. And you'll quickly get exhausted and drained from that and realize that it takes a lot of time and energy to just go for a bunch of stuff. So can you talk about being self-aware and how you can make yourself more self-aware of roles that are right and a good fit for you so you can save yourself time and the casting director's time on?
Well, yes. So first of all, I make sure that because I will never audition for something that involves nudity, because I'm just not comfortable with it. I know some people are, that's great for them. For me, I'm not comfortable with it. So whatever you're not comfortable with, that's okay. And so make sure you're reading the descriptions of each role, and casting's really good about mentioning. They know things that are like a little like, yo, it's going to make people a little uncomfortable. So they're really good at mentioning. For example, like they'll write on the bottom, you know, must be okay wearing a swimsuit, must be okay partially nude, must be okay full frontal nude or full back nude. Like they're very specific, and they'll tell you. So when you read that, don't submit for it. Another thing that I do is, you're not going to submit for something that you don't ethnically fit. So for example, I'm not going to submit for white, Caucasian, blonde hair, right? It's obviously like, I am not that. You're just wasting your time, you know? So what I do is, on all these different casting websites, there is a way where you update your preferences so that you only see casting notices that are fit for you. That includes your height, your hair color, you know, your ethnicity, whatever it is. So mine's specific to Asian or multi-ethnic, or Pacific Islander, that kind of stuff. So those are the roles that I get. And what makes it easier, I make sure all of those roles come to me via email. So that way I go through my emails, so that because there's a lot of submissions, like thousands and thousands, right? Like thousands of postings on these websites. Like it's almost impossible to go through every single one. So you want to be able to filter through, and it's just so much easier if you just set it up once so that it just emails you. So you'll go through the emails, and then when you want to submit for it, you click on it and then you submit for it, right? And then you have other stuff that your agent sends you to, right? That they submit on your behalf as well. And usually those are like the bigger stuff.
Right. And so to be clear, you know, you're still actively doing this on your own, even though you have an agent.
Yes, it's so important that you are actively submitting on your own. I have actually heard from other professionals that like, you can't rely on your agent to book you things. Like you have to hustle yourself. And also your agent may have access to like the bigger TV and film or bigger big name commercials, right? But the chance of you booking those are very slim because you have so much competition. So what does that mean? In order to keep your resume going, because they're going to look at that, they want to see that you're still consistently booking things on a monthly basis. And even some of the self-submission ones, the pay isn't too bad. It's still, it could be a couple $1,000s, whatever it is. So you still got to hustle and self-submit yourself. And if you get those auditions, great. If you don't, you know, you just keep going. It's a nonstop thing. A lot of people think, like, for example, my mom and my sister were visiting from Chicago a couple of weeks ago. And we were like, I was like always on my phone, always checking my email, seeing what came in. And my sister's like, why are you always on your phone? I'm like, I'm working. Just because I am not actively right now on set filming something doesn't mean that as an actress, I'm not self-submitting. Like, self-submitting is something you're doing throughout the day and all day, really. I literally am glued to my email all day, just looking for new postings and submitting immediately when I see them. Because if you're going to do this full time, you kind of have to be submitting to thousands of roles nonstop. Because just because you submit doesn't mean you're going to get a self-tape audition. So the more you submit, the more you have a chance of getting more auditions that come in. And then out of that, hopefully you get a call back. And after that, hopefully you book something, right? So that's why it's a numbers game. You just kind of have to do it all. And now I'm also in a place where I don't have to do like the stuff that pays like $100, but that's how I started. I started with like really low pay stuff where like you shoot for the day and you get paid $50 or $100. But now, thankfully, I'm in a place where I don't have to. And, but that's also because I've worked my way up to that point. So just think of it like any other job. You start low, but you have to work your way up. And even with the pay, it'll be like that.
Very cool. Okay, so how much money would you say someone needs to invest to get started with this? So, okay, we talked about Backstage, right? That's like 130 or 120 a year. Photos. How much should people be investing in photos? What do you think is a cap and what is a minimum? Because you don't want to pay too little, because then you could get something that's not such great quality, unless it's a friend giving you a break who is a professional, right?
Yeah. And oh, by the way, Backstage, there is a way where I can give $75 off. Like if you're already an active Backstage subscriber, you can give other people $75 off, which I've noticed is like the best rate you can get instead of like finding something online. So I don't know if like maybe I can just send you a link and you can post it with this video. So if anybody's interested in signing for Backstage, you can use that link and get $75 off.
And this is for the membership for Backstage. They would get 75
it's an
off?
annual membership. So $75 off like 135. That's pretty
amazing.
Good money. That's like almost half off.
That's amazing. Backstage rarely does stuff like that. That's really
cool.
Yeah,
they don't. So it's like it's only through like a referral link through an active subscriber where they'll give you that kind of money off.
All right.
So I'll send that to you so you can post that. So have, if you guys are interested in starting on Backstage, just use that link, get $75 off. I wish I had that.
Right?
I actually paid the full price when I started.
Definitely. And then where can you recommend finding reputable photographers in LA, if anywhere?
They're everywhere, and mostly Instagram. You can even do #headshots, actor headshots.
Love that.
They're everywhere, and you can kind of see like everyone's style and go from there. Now, obviously the super well-known ones are going to be a little bit more expensive. And then there's others who like range from like $150 to $200, $300 per hour, whatever it may be. So it just really depends. But some really, really like famous ones, they will charge more because they have some really good headshots. Your agent will tell you to update your headshots like every maybe 1.5 years or so. Or especially if you do a major change to your looks, like you dye your hair completely different, then they want you to change out your headshots, that kind of stuff. My agent really, one of the things that he really recommends is, which I obviously did, and it has scored me a couple more bookings extra that I don't think I would have if it wasn't for those headshots. But he actually said to do a variety of headshots with completely different looks. So for example, I have a headshot where I'm goth because I actually booked a goth role for something. And my agent said, you should do a headshot with goth so I can submit you for any of those roles, because I obviously can play goth, even though in real life you'll never see me in goth like ever. But I can
Love
easily do
that.
the makeup and put me in gauze. So I did a headshot for that, and I've actually booked 3 gigs from that headshot. Yeah, it's crazy.
Love it.
Even like if you have wigs, take different headshots with your wigs on, because I've actually in 2 films already, they wanted me to wear that same particular wig. Both of those films are in post production right now. So when the film comes out, you're actually going to see that in both of those films. I'm wearing this pink curly wig that I actually wore in one of my music videos last year.
I love that wig. It looks so real. I thought it was your hair. It's amazing.
Yeah, and they really
So
liked
funny.
it. And so they asked me if I could bring that in and wear that. So stuff like that. So if you have a lot of wigs, take headshots with different wigs. A lot of commercials will actually specifically say they're looking for eccentric looks. Make sure you do a headshot where you look eccentric. Maybe you have like a nose ring, and do some like really like cute eccentric type of makeup, and different colored lipstick, whatever it is. Play around with makeup, play around with different looks, because that's what they're gonna. It's the first layer of potentially booking a gig is the self submissions, and that's just off of headshots. So have a variety of headshots. So when you do have an agent, your agent will choose the best headshot that they think fits the role, and they will submit you for that. And even when you're doing self submissions, you're going to choose the headshot that fits that description of that role and submit for that. Like I booked a ad for a new apartment complex coming up, and the description of what they were looking for was Silver Lake hipster. So yeah, and I have a headshot where I have like this strong winged eyeliner, and I'm wearing very flowy hipster, like kind of like boho outfits. And then I also included shots of me with like a what do you call those hats?
Yeah, like when you go to wine tastings, you wear those like big like
yeah.
hats.
What do you? They start with the
I don't
F.
remember what they're called, but I know
what's
you're
my
talking.
mind drawing?
Not a fedora. That's much shorter, but I know what you're talking about. It's like very.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
they're like really hipster, right?
Yes.
So like I added in a couple of photos with like me with those hipster hats and all
Love
that kind of stuff.
Super
And I
cute.
guess that was the look they were going for. So obviously I'm not going to
Great.
submit myself wearing like a blazer and just
Right.
looking like professional. I will only submit a headshot of that, like if they're looking for a business professional look. So
Okay.
the key to booking things, even on your own or even with your agent, is really just have a variety of headshots, because I've noticed that
Okay.
definitely has increased
So
my
as
booking.
like as a starting point, could you say like maybe like 4 looks that somebody can focus on, because it can be
In the
overwhelming.
beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning.
In the beginning, you're only going to have like an hour, right, for the pay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you just want to get started. I would say there's some very basic looks, and that's always the girl next door or boy next door look.
Right.
Another one would be like a tough look. So like maybe like a leather jacket and just look really tough, like badass. The third one would be kind of like a very model-esque type look, like very beautiful, glamorous, like you just look drop dead gorgeous. And then I would say like the fourth one would be, well, in my case, I did a medical look. So I bought like, cause there's a lot of medical stuff out there. So I bought just the top, because for headshots, you don't need your full body. It's just like up to here and like your head. Right. So I bought just like the top of scrubs on Amazon, which, you know, it was like $12. And you just wear that and
Love
just
it.
look like a nurse, look like a doctor. It's like kind of like cosplay a little bit.
I love it.
And then based on what other roles you want to go for, you know, just keep going around and doing that. And if you have like a DSLR camera, like a really nice camera, although actually I know someone who books everything off of her iPhone. She said she's never done headshots with portrait mode. She does portrait mode on her phone.
Portrait mode is pretty awesome. I did some
and
shots from portrait mode.
they have no idea.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone has a good eye and you have good lighting and all that, like you could just do portrait mode on your iPhone. And if you have one of the newer iPhones,
right.
And that way
It's
you're
crazy.
not limited to an hour for looks. You can do as many looks as you want, and maybe just have your friend just take them for you.
So amazing. I mean, just thinking about how far the technology has come and how much more easily accessible it is to submit for these things, it's really great. It's more competitive at the same time, but you know what? Everybody gets an opportunity, so it's also really cool.
Yes. Oh, I
So,
forgot to mention the nerdy look. Actually, the
oh,
fourth look was
nerdy
supposed to
look.
be the nerdy look, not the nerd stopper look, actually. That's what I
Okay,
was thinking of.
okay,
I'm
nerdy
like, there is another
look.
common one. What is it?
I was thinking of
It's the nerdy
sporty
look.
also, but
Classic.
nerdy. Yeah, mm-hmm. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Sporty's a good one, actually.
I
Sporty's a
guess
good
it just
one.
depends what you're trying to market, and if you want to prioritize again, whatever your budget is, or your camera, or your time, it's like okay, just pick like four things or something, and then
In the beginning,
in
yeah.
the
And then
beginning,
eventually, as you see the submissions come through, you're going to be like, oh, okay, like I see a lot of this. Maybe I need to like set up a look for
right,
this.
right. Now, are comp cards completely obsolete at this point since we're basically submitting electronically for everything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Do you do, people used to do postcards and like send stuff and like, yeah, it's all going paperless and email blasts and
Yeah.
that sort of thing and social media.
Yeah, exactly. Now, nowadays, a lot of times they ask you for your Instagram. And now Instagram has kind of become your resume in a way. They look at your photos there. So then that makes you think like you have to be really careful what you post on Instagram now because
Sure.
now that's kind of become a thing.
Yeah.
So this is really bad. I'm actually scared to post on Instagram now because of it. So my last post
Mm,
was like December 31st. And then I'm
wow.
like scared to post anything else because it's like I feel like I'm being judged by every single
Right,
one of
right,
my
right.
photos I post. Yeah,
Oh my
reality.
gosh. I guess you could start like a new Instagram that's just for these submissions if you really wanted to and like
Yeah.
put up all of your headshots there or all of your professional pictures there and just keep it like
Hmm.
that. And then if you want to keep your private page private, you can
Yeah.
if you wanted to
Yeah.
work that angle, right?
Right. As of right now, I don't have a separate one, but I've been thinking about it. But also, I've been so busy, it's kind of hard to upkeep my social media as well.
Sure, sure.
So,
So would you say that having an additional website is also paramount? Or just being on Backstage is kind of a good place to focus, just have your home base be there, like
in
stick
the
with it
beginning, for
in the
people who are
beginning.
starting, just do Backstage. Just start with Backstage. And then eventually, when you get an agent, you can start signing up for LA Casting, Casting Frontier, Actors Access, because your agent absolutely needs those websites in order to submit for you. And that's when you are going to have to
Mm,
pay for it. And you want to make sure you booked enough to that point to actually have enough money to pay for 4 different casting websites, because that's going to be
right,
that's over $100 for each
for
casting
sure.
website per year. So you're
Right.
spending a minimum 400, minimum, maybe 500 a year just for these casting websites. That's kind of a lot. So you
Yeah,
got to make sure you're booking enough.
right, to pay that off. Yeah, so there's so many cool things that go into it. There's so many ways that you can kind of navigate and just, you know, build expand yourself and, communicate with your agent about roles that you want and again, like be your own boss. And I love and respect that even though you have an agent, you're still hungry and you're still like showing that you're professional and you're there and you're trying to find those gigs, not just for, your agent, for yourself because you're your own at the end of the day, you're still your own manager and it's your career, right? And
Yeah.
it's the roles that you're putting yourself out for. Like that's um, remnant of you in a way. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
represents you at the end of the day. So I think that that's really really awesome. So I commend you for all the hard work you've been doing, kicking butt. Because it's a lot that goes into this. It really is.
I still have a long ways to go, but
Yeah,
I do have
right?
to admit though, if you asked me a year ago, Nadi, are you capable of acting full time without this other job that I had before? I would probably say no, I don't think so. But
Wow.
surprisingly, it was only like a year, I think, into it. Yeah, because I started maybe like October of
Right.
2019.
Right.
And then November 2020, in the middle of COVID, I
Yeah.
quit my day job to do this full time. So,
Amazing. Huge congrats to you. And see, the thing is, she's saying like, "Oh, I wouldn't know that I would be here in a year and a half later or whatever." But the thing is, Nadi's work ethic is it's no joke. So, if you're asking me if I'm surprised, I'm not because you've always had a professional way of conducting yourself and being on time for things, being communicative, being professional, showing up, being vocal, being friendly. These are all things that get you work and that make a mark for yourself in the industry. And it's really, really important to just keep sharing and keep presenting yourself in a kind, professional manner. I think it goes a long way. And I think that you're proof of that. So
Aw.
again, huge kudos to you and you're kicking butt. So I know there's going to be so many more amazing roles to come for you. And I'm so excited because I know you're taking them. You're right now, you're taking them.
No,
Let's go.
it's like good
I
and
love
bad
it.
because we met while we were doing music and we still have a song in the works and
Yes.
I keep
Our
I
trilingual
miss
K-pop
it.
Italian American song.
But like this acting thing, every time, like it's on my to-do list, but every time I get auditions that come in every day, and that's like priority because you have a deadline.
Right.
So all my music stuff just keeps getting pushed and pushed and
Right.
pushed and
It's
pushed.
like a passion project. So it's totally okay. There's like a list of passion projects that we get, and then there's like our work projects. So, we'll get to it when we can, when we both have the schedule for it. Yes, it will totally happen.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I promise.
Yes.
It'll happen.
Yes, it'll happen for sure. And so let's just talk a little bit again about where you're from and your background and being Korean and American. You're bilingual, and how you came to LA and what your journey here was, and if you had any formal training or any of that stuff.
Yeah. So I was born in Seoul, South Korea, and immigrated to America when I was really young and grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. And and then I wanted to be a K-pop star. So I went to Korea and tried that. But I'm gonna be very vague about it because there's just a lot of people that are really into K-pop now. It's very popular, and you gotta be careful with what you say. But let's just say it was very hard. I'll just say that it was very hard. And at that time, being Asian, I always thought as an Asian American, I was not capable of pursuing music in America because of the way I looked, because of me being Asian. Because even growing up, I've never really seen an Asian American make it really big in music. Even now, except BTS is a little different because they started as K-pop. I mean, like just straight up from America, right? Like American raised Asian.
Yeah.
Anyway, so was trying to pursue music for a while, especially after I moved to LA, and I was still working for like a Fortune 50 company and doing a lot of stuff for them full time while I was pursuing music. But it was just really hard because I got a lot of things where people would tell me to go back to Asia and try music there first and then come here. That was very upsetting to me. And then somehow like acting just kind of came knocking on my door. I didn't even try in the beginning. And I was like, I don't act. Oh my God. And decided to give it a go. And with the help of an actress friend of mine who's been doing it for a long time, and she kind of helped me out. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll try this audition. So someone actually on Backstage, so I actually signed up for Backstage just to do like little commercials here and there to fund my music because I was struggling with being able to fund my music. So, and then Backstage, a director reached out to me, and wanted me to audition for his TV show. And I was like, no. At first I declined. And then he's like, oh, please, you're the look that I'm really going for. So that's when I reached out to my friend who's an actress and asked her for some help. So she helped me a lot. And I actually got I did the self-tape and then I got 2 callbacks because of it. Ended up not getting the role, which is fine because that would have been crazy. Like imagine getting a role for your first time trying acting ever.
Sure.
But the fact that I made it to like the second callback, apparently
amazing.
I look back and now that's kind of big for someone that has absolutely no acting experience. So so that happened, and then I just decided, you know what, like maybe this isn't so bad, and that's how it started. Really,
it's so funny, Nadi. Like there's a reoccurring pattern of people who come on my show who are professionals at what they do, and like I feel like every single one of them always tells me that they didn't see themselves doing a certain thing, and it ends up being their career, or it ends up being this huge catalyst bringing them to the next step. And
it's interesting.
It is interesting. It's almost like when we get hyper focused on one thing, and we are having our guard down for other things and being open for other random opportunities at the same time. It's like we're investing less in that in a sense. So sometimes we can project those energies like subconsciously that are like helping us
Yeah.
be more relaxed and just allowing us to then attract what's right for us. Am I making any sense?
Mhm.
That kind of law of attraction stuff. But
Yeah.
I think it's so funny. I'm noticing this pattern. So I think it's really cool. It's almost like we figure out where we're meant to be by just being
Mhm.
on the journey and being on the ride and just showing up. So I think showing up is awesome. Oh, and your friend just came to say hi. Who is
Yeah, she came up
this?
to me and kept meowing, so I just picked her up.
What's
Can I say hi
her
to her?
name?
Her name's Pebbles.
Hi,
Okay, now she wants to
Pebbles.
go.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. She's on a mission. She's a very busy girl. So cute.
Yeah, she just wanted
Adorable.
some love for a couple seconds, and then she was
Yes,
good.
some attention while you're giving me all of your attention here. Love it. So, Nadi, what else is in the future for you? What can we look out for, if anything? And what are some of your goals, with your career?
Yeah, well, obviously to continue to act full time, and hopefully bigger, better things. And then also just I want to be what's the word? One of my goals is to make time for music again.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah, and I think that will come once if I'm able to book something that's big enough where maybe I don't have to like be self-submitting as much. Like for example, like if I book a major commercial that like I don't know, let's say $30,000, $50,000, right? Like that
Right.
is a good chunk of change where that will allow me to maybe not act for a couple of weeks to just maybe focus on music, and hopefully we can get that song done.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely,
stuff like
definitely.
that. So that's like one of my goals is to book something major, so it allows me to give me some time to do music. And I would say, I I booked 6 films in less than a year.
Wow.
Well, actually now 7 because I just booked another one, and
Awesome.
technically still less than a year because last year July was
Killing it,
when I
girl.
first started films. Yeah,
Love it.
so I would say out of the 7 so far, one has come out or one has been released already, and the other are all in either post-production or pre-production. So just I guess
Amazing.
check out my films when they come out. They're all
Yes.
very different from each other, the characters that I play. So
I love it. I love it. It's so fun. And I love how you were just open to this new journey of discovery, even though you're a musician and you're a singer, you were still open to pursuing something else. That speaks lots of volumes, you
yeah,
know?
and something that I think is really interesting is because I always thought as a musician, acting was not my thing because music is my thing. But actually, I feel like I never thought actors themselves were creative people before I started acting. I just didn't think so. But actually, actors are very creative people.
Hmm.
And I feel like the more creative you are, the more capable you can be as an actor. So if you're a natural creative musician, I do think you probably have what it takes to be an actor as well. And nowadays there are
Mhm.
so many stuff out there where like musicals, right? You're acting and singing at the same time.
Yeah.
So all the stuff, right? They kind of like go hand in hand
Right.
together in a
Cross
way.
pollinate. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And one of the films that I booked, my very first lead role in a film, um, I booked because of the fact that I had experience as a singer-songwriter, because the role I was playing in that film was a singer-songwriter.
Oh, wow.
So, like I just feel like a lot of things, everything happens for a reason. So
Yep.
just kind of let the universe take you where you're supposed to
Mm,
go. Don't
I
limit
love
yourself.
that. I love that. I love that. Be open. Love it. Amazing. All right, girlfriend. We're going to do a little fun trivia game, okay? Do you remember last time we did a couple of random questions that were super fun and
Yep.
like
Did
special
you
for
choose
you?
different ones
I
this
did make
time?
some different, but then I kept some of the
Okay.
same because I wanted to see if you would change your answer.
Okay. Let's
I
see.
think you're gonna say the same thing because you're very
Okay.
instinctual and like I just knowing you, I'm like, no, she's gonna say the other one. So this time I put it down to 10 questions, so it's gonna be an actual timer. And 1 minute, 10 seconds per question.
Oh,
Or you can mix it up
okay.
or whatever. All right. So you gotta give your first
Okay.
organic response. You ready, girl?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it. Okay. Here we go. Timer starts now. Okay, Nadi. Ice cream or chocolate?
Ice cream.
All right. Reverb or pre-delay?
Reverb.
Okay. Britney or Xtina?
Xtina.
I knew that would say the same. Leonardo DiCaprio or Denzel Washington?
Denzel Washington.
Ah, okay. Rent or Wicked?
Wicked.
We had the time in the last episode to talk about that question because that took a lot longer to answer last time, right?
Yeah.
Logic or Pro Tools?
Pro Tools.
Okay. Cats or dogs?
Both right now, cats. Just
Okay. Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Okay. Pop or hip hop?
Pop.
Okay. Beach or nature hike?
I love both. Nature.
Okay. And then bonus question: pineapple on pizza or no?
Yes, pineapple on pizza.
Awesome! You did it. Love it. I'm so down for pineapple on pizza too. It's really funny how that question generates such different reactions every time.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here, girl. What last minute advice can you give all of our young aspiring performers out there who want to make it and channel their highest self and find out what career path is the best for them? What can you tell them?
Don't ever take no for an answer.
I love it. That's super strong. Don't ever take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And go for your goals and your dreams. I love it. And Nadi, where can everybody follow you on social media or contact you for advice or inquiries, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Awesome.
At Nadi Lee Official. On Instagram. Also, I have Facebook, which is under Nadi Lee Official as well. So basically Instagram,
Awesome.
Facebook, you can email me, nadileeofficial@gmail.com. And then also, if you want to sign up for Backstage, the link is
amazing.
wherever you put it.
I will put everything in. I will put links in the video, and I will also put stuff in the little blurb of my headlinings for all the postings, and we will make sure that people can get to you and follow you and your journey. And thank you so much for being a part of the Chameleon movement and showing us how you use all of your multi-talents to, actively pursue your career and just be efficient in your personal and professional life. So that's amazing. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe to this video. Thank you again, Nadi.
Thank you. Bye.
Take me under.